Hello everybody, it's the Worm and welcome back to Steins Gate. Last time was pretty dang interesting. It was two pretty big scenes. One with Krisu on the rooftop of Radikan, and another scene with Mayuri in the graveyard at the grave of her grandmother. And so we're going to talk about those two scenes today and sort of the main ideas that came from them. Let's just start at the beginning. So, Krisu on the rooftop. And it's pretty interesting because both scenes seem to be leading in a certain direction, and we'll get to that. The main issue was, obviously Okabe feels he's in a bit of a bind, that's putting it lightly. And Krisu, and he did what he has done several times in the past now, which is, when he feels like he's in a bind, he ends up telling Krisu everything. And so, he did that, and Krisu, in her usual way, thought about it, and gave him some advice. So, what did that advice involve? Well, essentially it was to start poking holes in the various time travel and world, the structure of the world theories that has been seemingly demonstrated or mentioned by Suzuha and Okabe's own experience while time traveling in various ways. And she goes out to try and suggest that, well, rather than reality being rewritten every time, what if it's the many worlds interpretation instead? And so, the main crux of what she's trying to say is, and where I think the story's leading towards, is Krisu is kind of hinting that Okabe should go ahead and do it. That he should crack into CERN, delete the information, and get back to the Beta World line where there is no CERN dystopia and where Mayuri can live. And Krisu is suggesting to Okabe that if he does that, perhaps if the many worlds interpretation is true, then he's not really killing Krisu. Rather, he's simply moving. Well, I believe the way she phrased it was changing perspective. He's changing perspective to a world line where Krisu did die. However, her own perspective would remain where she is, in her current world line, and thus she would continue living on in that sense. So, it could be, I'm imagining two different angles on this whole conversation. One, how much stock do we put in Krisu in thinking she's actually correct here? It could be true. I think I'm leaning towards wanting it to be true, but I have my doubts. But there is that angle that maybe she's right. Maybe the many worlds is true, and Okabe doesn't need to be worrying about this like he is. Or the other angle is, Krisu could be wrong, and maybe Krisu even knows she's wrong. Now, I'm not suggesting she knows she's wrong. I'm just saying it's just a potential. It could be she's just saying all this to Okabe to make him feel better. That could be the other angle from this discussion. And I think I've kind of danced around it sometimes and made fun of it a bit, but let's be clear, at this point, it's Krisu really likes Okabe. cares about him. I'm not sure. You know, I think probably in a romantic sense, not just as a friend. She's... And so, obviously, if that is the case, then she does care about him. She is trying to say something that is in what she believes to be his best interest, and would allow him to not suffer as much, I guess. So, yeah, it's tough. As I said, you know, I would kind of hope that her interpretation, this many worlds interpretation, is true. And she brings up a good point, how, and this is going to be when we talk about Mayuri too. His whole condition or ability, whatever it is, reading Steiner, it's still completely unexplained. And so the way she phrased it is, look, Okabe, if you really did have this ability, if you were the one unique human that was able to do this, you really would be God. And she doesn't believe that he is. And so she thinks there's something else going on here, that it isn't all that Suzuha and perhaps future scientists believe it to be. And because we're here in the present, we don't have access to whatever research they have, so who knows? Suzuha could be wrong, or maybe she misunderstood what she was told, or maybe she could be lying for whatever reason. Maybe just to get us to do what she wants. Now that, paints a bit of a... I'm not saying that's what Suzuha did, but it's just to illustrate that, there may not be... We may not have as good of a reason to believe in what we've been told. That's essentially it. So that was that scene, and it was pretty interesting. I think there have been some discussions in the comments about that whole idea. Again, I think it's a bit more likely that it is what Suzuha says it is, that it's a single timeline being rewritten, and all the other possibilities are just that, possibilities. But, I'm willing to just sort of wait and see if we ever get strict confirmation on that. But I can hope along with Kurisu that it isn't the case. So that leads into the scene at the graveyard, and it was a pretty hard scene to listen to. Mayuri, it is revealed to us that Mayuri has been having dreams in which she seems to be remembering all of her previous deaths, which, depending on how extreme that is, that could be pretty bad. Of course, she's being killed violently. So it's interesting she calls them dreams, but that sounds more like nightmares to me. And this raises a very interesting question, and it's one that Okabe himself thought about in his head. We've had Faris, we've had Lukako, and now we have Mayuri. I don't think Moega ever did. But we have instances or examples where it seems that other people are able to remember previous world lines. Now, I've always been tripped up by... Well, Okabe's always been unique, so we've just accepted things that are occurring because of reading Steiner as it comes along. But with the other people remembering things, I've always been confused by how it's so specific. It's specifically the world lines that Okabe was in previously. That's part of the thing that makes me think it's more of a single timeline, or a series of single timelines rather than many worlds, because how would it be so specific to be exactly the ones Okabe came from? Unless it's something like, because it's the one Okabe came from, and he's specifically mentioning them or referring to them, that causes those kinds of memories to spill over. I don't know. Still a confusing idea here. Anyway, that's less important. What's more important is the thought that Okabe has that, well, maybe reading Steiner isn't unique to him. Maybe it's something that everyone has, and for whatever reason, his ability is just stronger than others. Because now we've had 3 other people seem to have similar things happen, that being memories from previous world lines. Now, it is still different, because remember, Okabe doesn't get... It's not Okabe from another world line suddenly getting memories from a previous world line. No. We've had... The perspective we've been in, it's been the same sort of single consciousness throughout the entire story. He doesn't suddenly get or inherit or get new memories from other Okabes. So that seems to be... There seems to be something fundamentally different with Okabe, although... Again, it's I'm not sure. We know so little about reading Steiner and about the phenomenon of inheriting these memories that it's hard to say. But maybe it speaks to Kurisu's thought a bit, that Okabe, he kind of gets crushed by this weight of, Suzuha mentioned it very early on as John Tidor, of him being a sort of messiah. And that weight kind of crushes him a bit. But the idea that, well, maybe he's not so unique. Maybe other people have this ability. Maybe that's a comforting thought to him. I'm not sure if he expanded it that much, but yeah. In any case, other than that, the scene itself was pretty dang sad. Mayuri believing that she's a burden to him. And this was something I think I mentioned in the previous episode. It was either the previous episode or the episode before the previous episode, where Okabe has been kind of pushing Mayuri away a bit. And as I said last time, he has his reasons. But inadvertently, that has caused Mayuri to feel like a burden to him. And she expressed that fully, and Okabe firmly denied that. And we saw at the end there, he decided to step out and correct her false assumption there. So ultimately, there's probably going to be a choice here where we're choosing Mayuri or Kurisu, just because, that's been the kind of common... that's what's happened at these previous junctures. But I think the story is leading towards choosing Mayuri will probably be going towards the true end or main end. It may just be listed as Mayuri's end, but I'm getting the feeling that that's probably what's going to be the final one, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say about those two. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to imagine being in that situation. Just, there's the madness from all the time travel stuff itself, but... I mean, if Kurisu is sort of giving him leave to go ahead and go back to the Beta World line, even if she may end up dying, at what point do you just sort of say, okay, I it seems to be what she wants, so I honor that choice of hers, and yeah. Now, of course, I'm in the lucky state of being able to save and load, so no matter which endings we're going to get, we're going to do them all. But thinking about it, if I was in Okabe's shoes, I think I'd eventually just decide to go to the Beta World line. I mean, we've kind of... I think they've kind of mentioned a bit, there's the idea of oh, don't you want to save the world from the dystopia as well? So that's kind of in the background too. You know, it's oh, this is for the greater good kind of thing. But of course, Okabe has taken a much more personal outlook on things. So, yeah, it doesn't make it easy, of course. Yeah. I don't know. I think Okabe mentioned he may want to try and, you know, get to that beta world line and then see what he could do to save Krisu from there. She raised an interesting sort of idea about it, where I think she used trains, the train system, as an example. So maybe there's more to this. Maybe we can get to the beta world line and then, I don't know, find a way to a gamma world, or excuse me, gamma attractive field where everyone can survive. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Either way, it's not going to be easy. Alright, let's go ahead and continue. Let me, get a, yeah, let me... Decided to, because my throat was hurting so much at the end of, last couple episodes. I'm gonna try and make sure that doesn't happen again. Okay. Alright, that should help. Alright, let's do this. Looks like we're back at, Radicon. Akiba is empty again today. The otaku have all made the exodus to Komima for the second day of battle. But come nightfall, they will return to Akiba like a victorious army laden with spoils, and the streets will be chaos. I know Daru has gone to Komima. The question is, has Mayuri? I hope she has. I want things to be normal again. I remember what I heard yesterday, the feelings Mayuri expressed at her grandmother's grave. The events of the last few weeks have affected her as well. After I escorted Mayuri home from the cemetery, I spent the whole night racking my brain for a third option, a way out of this mess. My thoughts were a jumble, ideas coming and going too fast to judge which were right and which were wrong. But of course, there isn't a right choice here. For in the end, it always comes back to the same question. Who do I let die? And no matter how I try to dance around it, the answer is always the same. I can't choose. Is there no one else who can make this decision? No. Even if there were, I know I'd never accept their choice. Whichever it happened to be. Once again, I'm heading for the roof on Radicon. I had to get out of the lab. Mayuri or Krisu might return at any moment, and I can't face them now. I look up at the sky. Clouds are dark and heavy. It could start raining any minute now. I thought that I was alone, but someone was here before me. Krisu is lying in the middle of the roof, arms and legs spread as if making a snow angel. The image of Krisu in a pool of blood flashes through my mind. Is she all right? I run toward her, but before I make it halfway, she suddenly sits up and turns to face me. You're alive. What a dumb thing to say. Fortunately, it looks like Krisu didn't hear me. She's busy combing her disheveled hair with her fingers. I breathe a silent sigh of relief. Right. I forgot I might run into you here. What were you doing?
考え事
Thinking.
そうか。
Oh. Was she thinking about her death? I don't know what to say, so I keep my mouth shut. Krisu appears to be in the same boat. She's staring at the capsule toy dispenser in the corner, her face wearing the usual frown. Oh my goodness, is the what was it, Upa? The little toy thing that Mayuri got in the very beginning? Is that gonna come back into play? She never found it, remember? The awkward silence drags on. When you think about it, Krisu's fate rests in my hands. My decision will determine whether she lives or dies. Her fantastic hypothesis yesterday was a desperate attempt to construct a scenario where she doesn't die. Is that, how is it phrased? It's cope? Was she coping? Even if she believes that her theory is correct, it must be difficult for her to avoid imagining her own death. I force a smile. I'm getting really uncomfortable here.
邪魔になっているようだから、俺はもう行く。
Looks like I'm in your way, so I'll be taking my leave.
うん
Oh, okay. Damn. I was expecting a sarcastic remark like, since when do mad scientists have manners? Or something. Just then, something cold lands on the tip of my nose. When I look up, raindrops start landing on my forehead. An evening shower. It's only going to get more intense and quickly. Krisu hasn't moved a muscle. She's just standing there with her arms folded, staring at the ground as if she doesn't notice the rain at all.
おい、雨が降ってきてるぞ。
Hey, it's raining.
うん
She's acting strange, like her mind is elsewhere. I knew it. She's been thinking about...
で、うわっ
Whoa. Did it rain this much before? I don't remember having a storm here on this date, but I could just be remembering wrong. In less than a minute, the rain turns into a full downpour. We had no time to seek shelter. What the hell? Krisu's scream is drowned out by the roar of the rain.
びっくり
Whoa. What a surprise.
夕立を甘く見たな。
That's what you get for tempting the sky gods. Now safely inside the building, we take a moment to catch our breath. It's been a week since Suza's time machine disappeared, but Radicon is still closed. The lights are off and it's pretty dark inside.
もっと早く忠告してよ。おかげで下着までびしょ濡れじゃない。
Should have warned me sooner. Even my underwear's soaked.
右に同じく。この暗さに助けられたな、助手よ。
Same here. Huh, this darkness has become your salvation, my dear assistant.
どういう意味
What's that supposed to mean?
もしラジカンが営業していたら、今頃お前のあられもない姿が多くの人間の前にあらわにされていただろう。
Well, if Radicon were still open at this time and the lights were still on, your unbecoming figure would have been fully exposed to the masses by now. Even in the dim light, I can tell Krisu is scrambling to cover her chest.
あんたも変態だってこと てた。
Ah, I forgot that you're a perv too.
自分から下着までびしょ濡れだと申告しておいてよく言う。
You're the one who announced that your underwear was wet.
これ以上口聞かないで。下着の色とかよくも妄想したな。許さないから。
Just drop it. If you're having delusions about what color my underwear is, I'll kill you.
妄想などしてない。
I'm not having any delusions. She's too self-conscious. But the color of her underwear, huh? Gotta be white.
冷えるか。
Cold?
だから脱いで乾かせって。ふざけないで。変態の手に引っかかるもんか。
I'm not stripping naked if that's what you're suggesting. Your pervy tricks won't work on me.
誰もそんなこと言ってないだろう。少し落ち着け。
Who said anything about stripping? Calm down, will you?
ま、たとえ服を脱いだとしても、この暗さだから案ずることはない。お前の貧相なヌード姿は誰にも見られることは。
But if you want to strip, go right ahead. I can't make out your scrawny figure in this light anyway. Okay, this is going in a direction.
それ以上喋ると、あんたの大脳新皮質をポン酢につけて高級料亭で提供してやるんだから。
Another word and I'll make your cerebral neocortex into ponzu sauce and sell it to the high-class restaurant.
すまん。
Sorry. Please spare me that horror. Still, the wisecracks are a welcome distraction.
夕立ならすぐにやむわよね。それまで待つか。
A storm like that shouldn't last long. Guess we'll just wait it out. I see Kurisu's shadowy form move to sit on the staircase. I sit next to her.
なんで横に。
Hey, get your own stair.
なんで。
What?
喋るなと言ったのはお前だ、クリスティーナ。
You're the one who told me not to speak, Christina.
あんまり近くに来ないでよ。
You're too close.
今ぐらいの距離が限界だから。これ以上離れるとは言わないけど、これ以上近づいたら押し返すからな。
Don't come any closer, okay? You can stay where you are, but come any closer and I'll push you away, okay? Our bodies gradually grow cold, and we start shivering. Maybe I should take off my wet clothes. But if I do that, Kurisu will just call me a perv again. Better not. My eyes gradually adjust to the darkness. Uh-huh. I can see Kurisu more clearly now. She's huddled up against the wall.
こっち見んな。
Don't look at me.
バカな。この暗さでは俺がどこを見ているかなどわからないはず。
Impossible. How can you see where I'm looking? Does she have infravision?
やっぱり見てたのか。
So you were looking. Damn, she used a leading question on me. That's such a high-level technique. I avert my eyes from Kurisu and take off my lab coat. That's when I notice my coat is torn at the shoulder.
屋上から避難した時にどこかに引っ掛けたか。
Damn. Must have caught on something when we ran inside.
何の話？
What? What are you talking about?
いや、上着の肩口が破れかけていた。
Just a little tear in my coat.
岡部ってドジっ子だったの？
Is clumsiness one of your character traits?
俺はマッドサイエンティスト属性であってドジっ子属性など持っていない。
Don't be ridiculous. I am a mad scientist. I bear the curse of insanity, not clumsiness. It seems like forever since I've talked to Kurisu as Ho in Kyoma.
はいはい。
Yeah. Kurisu suddenly holds out her hand.
ほら、 貸しなさいよ。
Give it here.
何？
What?
ちょうどソーイングセット持ってるから縫ってやると言っている。
I happen to have a sewing kit with me. I'll stitch it up for you.
ソーイングセットだと？お前が？
A sewing kit. You?
悪いか。
Something wrong with that? I hand my coat as asked.
実験大好きっ子のくせにそんな家庭的なものを？
You're an experiment-loving girl. You're not supposed to be domestic.
実験大好きっ子であると同時に家庭的な女の子かもしれないじゃない。
Can't I be a domestic experiment-loving girl?
家庭的な女の子なのか？
You. Domestic.
相対的に見れば家庭的かもね。と言っても日本の女子高生の家庭的女の子指数がどれくらいか知らないけど。
Relatively? Maybe? Well, actually, I don't know the domesticity index for Japanese high school girls these days. There's an index for that? First I've heard of it. Krisu skillfully threads the needle despite the darkness.
濡れてるから針が通りにくいな。
It's wet, so it's kinda hard to thread.
本当に偶然持っていたのか？
Did you really just happen to have that on you?
しつこい。そんなに私がソーイングセット持ってたら悪いの？
Get over it already. Is it really so wrong for me to have a sewing kit?
悪いとは言っていないが、まるで狙ったかのようだったからな。
It's not wrong, it just seems like you planned for this.
つまりあんたが服を破ってしまうのを見越してあらかじめ用意していたって言ってもらいたいんですね。わかります。
So, you're saying I brought it with me because I somehow knew your coat was going to get ripped? Uh-huh.
そんなわけあるか。
Ridiculous.
それと勘違いしないでほしいんだけど、別に好きで縫ってあげてるわけじゃないんだからね。
And before you get the wrong idea, I'm not fixing your coat because I want to or anything, okay?
出たな、ツンデレセリフ。
Nice tsundere line.
茶化すな。あんたが偶然服を破って、私は偶然ソーイングセットを持っていた。だから縫ってあげている。それだけ。
Don't mock me. You just happened to tear your clothes, and I just happened to have a sewing kit handy when you did. It's coincidence, that's all.
偶然ね。
Coincidence, huh?
まさかお前タイムリープしているということはないよな。
No way. You didn't time leap, did you?
つまりあんたが服を破ってしまったからタイムリープして事前にソーイングセットを用意したって言ってもらいたいんですね。わかります。
So now you're saying that I went back in time for the sole purpose of repairing your stupid lab coat. Uh-huh.
そんなわけあるか、そんなわけあるか。大事なことなので2回言いました。Understand?
Ridiculous, ridiculous. It's so important I said it twice, comprende?
確かに。わざわざタイムリープして対策を練るならば、ソーイングセットではなくタオルを用意しておくのが先だからな。
Huh, you're right. If you had time leaped, you would have brought a towel, not a sewing kit.
何それ、皮肉？文句ばっかり。
What's that, sarcasm? All you do is complain. After working for a while, Krisu cuts the string with her teeth, then hands me back my coat.
ほら、
Here.
ありがとう。
Thanks.
出来については暗くて確認できないけど。
By the way, it was dark, so I couldn't really see.
もし仮に出来が悪くても私の腕のせいじゃない。この暗さのせいよ、きっと。
If it turns out bad, it's not my fault. It was dark, that's all.
ちなみに糸の色についても何が出るかお楽しみに。
Oh, and I hope you like the color, because I have no idea which thread I used.
色もランダムなのか。
It's random?
黒か赤かピンク。確率は3分の1。
Black, red, or pink? Those are the three possibilities.
せめてピンクが出ないように祈ろう。
Let's just hope it's not pink.
寒いか？
Are you cold?
まあね。
I guess.
俺の上着を羽織るか？
Take my coat.
それだって濡れてるでしょ。
But it's wet.
まあそうだが。
Well, yeah, but... Silence again. The words flow so naturally when it's just harmless banter, but 1 second of silence and suddenly we have nothing to say. It must be because of what happened yesterday. So desperate to avoid the topic that nothing seems safe. I know I need to say something, but what?
結論は出た。
Have you made your decision yet? Her voice is barely a whisper, but I can hear her clearly in the silence of the empty stairwell. I look at Krisu. She's hugging her knees to her chest, presumably against the cold. My decision. I know what she means. That's why I can't answer.
まだ悩んでるの？
You still haven't made up your mind?
あんたってまゆりのこと好きなんでしょ？
You like Mayuri, don't you?
何？
What? Where did that come from? Krisu keeps staring into the darkness.
ただの錯覚かもしれないけど、私の心の中に奇妙な記憶というか、デジャブみたいなものがある。
It's probably just my imagination, but lately, I've been seeing things. Like a strange sort of deja vu.
そこでは、あんたはまゆりを助けようと必死になってて、一人で傷つきながら、それでも前に突き進もうとしてるの。
In these visions, you're fighting to save Mayuri all by yourself. You never give up, no matter how much it hurts. Krisu too?
そんな岡部が私に相談をしてきて、そのひたむきに頑張ってる姿を見て、私も力になってあげたいと思ったり。
Then you come to me for help. You're so desperate, so earnest that I just have to do what I can.
別にあんたを助けたいって思ったわけじゃないからな。私はあくまでまゆりを助けたいだけであって。
Not that I'm doing it for you, okay? I just want to save Mayuri, that's all.
とにかく私にはなぜかそんな錯覚が記憶のように残ってる。
Anyway, these images are stuck in my head, like memories. So, Karisu's the same. She still has faint memories from previous world lines.
自己分析してみたけど、夢で見たものを現実と思い込んでるのか、単なる願望か、それぐらいの結論しか出なかった。
I tried self-analysis. Maybe I'm mistaking dreams for reality, projecting my hopes and fantasies. I don't know.
ただ、これだけははっきりしてる。
But there's one thing I do know.
あんたはまゆりを助けるべきなのよ。
You have to save Mayuri.
怖くないのか？
Aren't you afraid? To save Mayuri, I must undo the current world line. If I do that, Krisu will die.
なんだか廃墟に迷い込んだみたい。
You know, it kind of feels like we're trapped in an ancient ruin. Krisu suddenly changes the subject. She looks around the dark, empty stairwell.
まるで世界中の電源が切られて、
Like the world ended,
私たちだけ取り残されたみたい。
and we're the only two people left.
と思うんだ。
I've been thinking.
もしあんたがベータ世界線に行ったとする。みんなも一斉にそっちに移動するとしたら。
Say you shift to the Beta World line, and everyone else goes with you.
私だけは移動できない。私だけが取り残される。
What if I can't go with you? What if I'm the only one left behind?
そうしたら世界中がこの場所みたいになっちゃうのかな。
Would the entire world become like this place?
所詮これも仮説の一つだけど。
It's just a theory, but I can't help but wonder.
俺は
I need to say it.
お前も救う。まゆりだけじゃなくてお前も。
I'll save you. Not just my Yuri, but
できもしないこと言わなくていい。
don't make promises you can't keep. Krisu cuts me off sharply, then buries her face in her knees.
怖くないかってさっき聞いた。
You asked me if I wasn't afraid.
怖いに決まってるでしょ。
Of course I'm afraid.
自分が消えるかもしれない。自分だけが取り残されるかもしれない。
Maybe I'll disappear. Maybe I'll be left behind all alone.
あるいはあんただけがこの世界線からいなくなるかもしれない。
Or maybe only you will disappear and everything else will stay the same.
誰もあんたがいなくなったことを認識してない世界がずっと続いていって、私は何事もなかったかのようにアメリカに帰るかもしれない。
The world will continue and nobody will even know you existed. I'll go back to America as if nothing ever happened.
かもしれない。かもしれない。かもしれない。
Maybe.
そんないろんな可能性を考えて、その度に絶望的な気分になる。
I feel hopeless just thinking about all the possibilities.
でも
But even so, Krisu raises her head and spears me with her glare.
だからマヨリを見殺しにしろなんて言えると思う？
Do you think I would tell you to let Mayuri die?
クリス。
もうなんか寒いな。
Jesus, it's cold. Krisu grabs her own arms. In the darkness, I see her shoulders shaking.
濡れてる服着てる青年。たく。
It's because of these wet clothes. This sucks.
ダメだ。こんなの全然論理的じゃない。仮説にすらなってない。全部根拠のない妄想。こんなしょうもない妄想を垂れ流す脳の機能をカットしてやりたい。
Anyway, enough of this nonsense. It's nothing but conjecture. Baseless delusions, worthless. I want to cut open my skull and excise the part of my brain that comes up with these delusions. Now she's talking to herself in an angry tone. Krisu has always been calm when faced with the unknown. I admired her for that. I thought she was facing this calmly too. But I was wrong. Behind her cool facade, she was struggling to cope with the knowledge that her very existence was in jeopardy. She was fighting that fear all alone, and now it has finally come to the surface. Of course she's afraid. However brilliant she may be, she's still just an 18-year-old girl. Krisu abruptly stands up. I realize that I no longer hear the sound of rain pouring onto the roof.
聞いて、岡部。
Listen to me, Okabe.
両方救うのは無理。そうでしょ。
You can't save both of us, correct?
どうあがいたって確率は2分の1なの。
No matter how you struggle, it's one or the other.
だが
But
だがじゃない。私の結論は変わらない。
no buts. My answer won't change.
マユリを助けて。
Save Mayuri. I hear the pain in her voice, and also the resolve. Krisu has made up her mind. I look away and clench my fists. My nails dig into the palms of my hands.
そう簡単に諦めろって言うのか。お前を見捨てろって言うのか。
You telling me to give up? to abandon you?
そんなのできるはずがないだろ
I could never do that.
できるかできないかじゃない。あんたをやらなくちゃいけない。それしか道はない。
This isn't about whether you can or can't. You have to do this. There's no other way.
ダメだお前は俺たちの大切な仲間だ俺はお前も見捨てない
No, you're our beloved friend. I won't abandon you.
岡部
Krisu drops to her knees and grabs me by the collar. I gasp for breath as she stares into my eyes. Her eyes are hard and stern. It's always like this when she scolds me. Always the same glare.
他に解決策があるの？ないんでしょ。
Is there another solution? There isn't, is there?
私はマユリを犠牲にしてまで生きていたくない。
I don't want to live if it means sacrificing Mayuri.
もしマユリを助けなかったらあんたを一生恨むから。
If you don't save her, I'll never forgive you. This can't be happening. I hate this choice with no right answer. I hate this world for being so cruel. And most of all, I hate myself for forcing Krisu to speak these words when she's the one with the most to lose. Tears well up in my eyes, but I bite my lip and hold them back. Is there really no other way? I can't bear it. I look straight back at Krisu as she holds me by the collar and tightly embrace her slender body. Her clothes are still wet from the rain, but all I feel is warmth radiating from the core of her being.
お前はここにいるのに
But you're right here.
こんなのあんまりだ
Why? Why does it have to be this way? Tension drains from her back and her hands. She gives her whole body over to my embrace.
ありがとう。私のためにそこまで苦しんでくれて。
Thank you. I know you're hurting for me.
でももう十分。私は大丈夫だから。あとはマユリのことだけ考えて。
But you've done enough. I'm fine. So just think about Mayuri, okay? Despite her fear, Krisu has made her choice. It's time for me to do the same. I need to decide, here and now, the future of the world. Which friend to let die. Holding Krisu tightly, I whisper into her ear.
すまない
I'm sorry. A meaningless apology. Did we just make a choice? There was that weird fade to black and then the scene again. Let's go a bit longer.
俺はマユリだけはどうしても救いたいから
I want to save Mayuri more than anything. Okay, maybe not. These words are a death sentence, but I force myself to speak them. It takes every ounce of willpower I possess.
お前を助けられない
I can't save you. I know. When I finish, I feel as if a great weight has left my shoulders. And at the same time, as if 1,000 needles are stabbing into my heart. Krisu weakly returns my embrace. Then she lets go and stands up.
さてと。
Well then. There's already a look of relief on her face.
先に帰る。
I'm heading back.
帰るってどこへ？
Back? Where? To America?
ラボに決まってるでしょ。服を乾かさないと。シャワーも浴びたいし。
The lab, of course. I need to dry my clothes, and I want to take a shower, too. In that case, we should go back together. But before I can suggest it, Chrisu beats me to the punch, as if she read my mind.
あんたはそこでずぶ濡れのまましばらく待ってて。
You stay here and soak for a while.
わかった？
Understand? We can't go back together. That's her verdict.
わかった。
Understood. I hang my head and shut my eyes. Chrisu's footsteps fade into the distance. I wrap my arms around my body. Even though it's summer and sweltering hot, I can't stop my body from shaking. I realize that part of me is relieved that Chrisu left alone. At least I won't have to face her again, to look upon the face of the girl I chose to die. I'm a coward. My self-loathing echoes in the darkness. Okay. Well, that's gonna be it, I think. Huh. That strange fade to black and then back to the scene. You know, I've played a couple of visual novels before where there are choices, and it's when you take the certain, I struggle to, well, you could say correct choices, but in some instances that's not the correct way to put it. But anyway, you take certain choices, and then when you get to a certain part of the story, depending on those choices, you'll get a different ending. So it's not like you have a final choice, rather the result of all your previous choices leads to a certain ending at the end. That's what that scene kind of felt that way to me. Could be wrong, but in any case, it does look like it went the way I thought it would. Chrisu has made her decision, and that has forced Okabe to make his decision. And so he has. Next time we will certainly address that. Before I go, though, sort of just one final topic I want to mention. Would you know, I'm sure everyone has, well, not everyone, but I'm sure a certain portion of people who care about this sort of thing have this whole conversation of best girl, that kind of thing. I'm not sure I have any opinion on that, but at least at the moment. But certainly, there's a question I think you could ask of which girl should or would end up with Okabe. And, you know, it's just something I've been thinking about. Would you describe Mayuri's relationship with Okabe as a romantic one? I'm not sure I would. If anything, it feels more familial to me. You know, because they knew each other as kids. And they were both in sort of desperate straits. Okabe with his sickness, and then Mayuri with the loss of her loved ones. And they were sort of there for each other. But yeah. You know, it was just Chrisu made that one statement where she said, you know, you like Mayuri, don't you? And Okabe was kind of taken aback from that. Because I'm not sure if I would describe Okabe's feelings, at least, as romantic in nature. I mean, we're not, at least, you know, we've been in his head So, at least from his perspective, I don't think I'd describe it that way. I don't know about Mayuri. Maybe she does. Maybe she does, like Okabe in a romantic way. But yeah. Okay. We're gonna call it there, I think. Next time will probably be a pretty difficult episode, so I'll try to get ready for that. In any case, I've been The Worm. This has been Steins Gate. I hope you're doing alright, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.